He used to wake up before the alarm rang. Not because he was eager for the day, but because his body had learned disappointment so well that sleep no longer trusted morning. At 60, the silence of dawn felt heavier than the noise of the day. The room was dim, the walls familiar in the way a prison becomes familiar. Nothing was broken. Nothing was wrong. And yet everything felt unfinished. There was a time when his hands shook with excitement. He remembered that clearly. In his 20s, those same hands moved with purpose, guided by a quiet fire inside him. There was something he loved deeply, something that made hours disappear. When he worked on it, the world felt aligned, as if he had found the one place meant specifically for him. He never told many people about it. He didn't need to. It felt sacred, fragile, easily crushed by practical questions. So he made a deal with himself. Just for now, he said. Just until things are stable. Just until responsibilities are handled. The passion could wait. Life, after all, was serious business. Years passed quietly that way. One year blending into the next, marked not by milestones but by routines. A job that paid the bills. A role that earned respect. A life that looked complete from the outside. People called him responsible. Sensible. Successful, even. He accepted those words because they were easier than asking himself harder questions. The passion did not disappear. It simply grew quieter, like a voice learning it would not be answered. Sometimes it surfaced late at night, when the house was asleep and distractions ran out. Sometimes it appeared as a tightness in his chest when he saw someone else living boldly. Sometimes it showed up as irritation, bitterness he couldn't explain. He told himself this was normal. Everyone sacrifices something. That's what adulthood is. At 40, he told himself it was too late to start again. At 50, he told himself it would be irresponsible. At 60, he stopped telling himself anything at all. That was when the weight arrived. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. It came slowly, settling into his bones, into his breath. It showed up in quiet moments. Waiting in lines. Sitting alone. Staring at nothing in particular. It wasn't fear. It wasn't sadness. It was something heavier. Regret has a specific texture. It is not loud. It does not shout. It whispers constantly, reminding you not of what went wrong, but of what never happened. He began to replay his life, not through memories of action, but through memories of avoidance. Every time he chose safety over meaning. Every time he postponed joy. Every time he convinced himself that someday was a real place on the calendar. He had built a life by saying no. No to risk. No to uncertainty. No to the part of himself that wanted more. Now, at 60, the days felt shorter, not because time moved faster, but because hope had less room to stretch. He realized something terrifying: the future no longer felt open. It felt finite. When he imagined starting now, the excuses collapsed. It wasn't lack of time that had stopped him. It wasn't money. It wasn't responsibility. It was fear, carefully disguised as wisdom. Fear of failing. Fear of being judged. Fear of discovering that his passion might not save him after all. So he chose a different pain. A quieter one. A pain that didn't interrupt daily life but slowly hollowed it out. The cruelest part was that no one blamed him. There was no villain in his story. No dramatic mistake. Just thousands of small, reasonable decisions that led him far away from himself. He looked at his hands again. They were slower now. Stiffer. Time had left its marks. And with that realization came another one, sharper than all the rest. Even if he started today, it would never be what it could have been. That thought didn't come from bitterness. It came from clarity. The clarity that only arrives when options are gone. When potential turns into memory. When imagination has nothing left to work with except regret. He understood then why older people often seem distant, detached. It wasn't age. It was grief. Grief for lives they never lived. He had spent decades preparing for a future that no longer existed. Achievements felt hollow. Praise felt misplaced. The things he once chased for security offered no comfort now. Security without meaning had become its own kind of prison. And yet, beneath the regret, something else stirred. Not hope. Not optimism. Truth. The truth was simple and devastating: the cost of ignoring his passion was not failure. It was absence. An absence that no amount of comfort could fill. An absence that grew larger with every year he chose safety over purpose. He realized that passion is not a luxury. It is not a hobby. It is not something you reward yourself with after life is done using you. It is the very thing that gives life its weight, its direction, its reason to endure hardship. By ignoring it, he hadn't protected himself. He had erased himself slowly. At 60, he could finally name the mistake clearly. Not choosing the wrong path, but never choosing his own. He wished he could go back, not to change one big decision, but to change a mindset. To understand that fear does not disappear with time. It only demands a higher price later. Youth believes it has time. Age understands the lie. And that is the lesson his life offered, written not in success or failure, but in silence. Do not wait to become brave when it is safe. Do not postpone what makes you feel alive until you feel ready. Do not trade meaning for comfort and call it maturity. Because one day, when the noise fades and the days grow quiet, you will not measure your life by what you achieved. You will measure it by what you never dared to begin.